everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Cheryl Tan.
And I'm Zack Miller. Welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Over the next few shows, we'll be focusing on the importance of networking. Nothing highlights the importance of networking more than the shops along Botetourt Street.
On June 8th of this year, the building holding Cure Coffee House, Hummingbird Macarons, and Voila International Cuisine, among others, partially collapsed. The damage caused the businesses to be displaced for weeks. I spoke with the owners of Hummingbird and Voila about how their connections to the community helped them through some pretty tough times. Maggie Churis, the owner of Voila Cuisine International here on Botetourt. You were here that day.
Yes.
What do you remember?
The first thing was sound. We heard crack, 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 and very loud. And not knowing what it was, of course, ran to the window.
Sure.
And the next thing we knew, that was just the entire thing was down.
So we learned afterward, of course, that we really avoided a huge catastrophe. I mean, it was catastrophic for your businesses, but nobody got hurt.
Yeah, it was a miracle. It was a complete miracle.
So let's talk about what happens when something like this happens. You're a restaurant, and it was 3 p.m., so you probably were getting ready for dinner.
Yes, yes. And thought we could still open that night, actually. But basically what happened was the police came, the firemen came, they evacuated the building, turned all power and gas off, and we were outside. It was about 100 degrees that day, and we're not allowed to come back in. And then they gave us, eventually 2.5 hours later, they gave us 30 minutes, each individual shop owner, to be escorted in with firemen and get out whatever you want to get out within those 30 minutes. At that moment, you don't know if the building will be condemned, if you'll ever get back into your business. There's no way of knowing, you know, what the future holds. So it's crazy to try to think of what can I put my hands on in 30 minutes.
Exactly.
You know.
So Kisha Frazier, this is the scene that you came up on.
Yes.
You are the owner of Hummingbird Macarons and Desserts.
Yes.
And you were probably getting texts as you were coming into work?
Yes, I was getting texts. I was actually on my way here because I was going to be painting the front door around the time that it collapsed. So it was good that I had the delay I had. And just like Maggie said, you know, those 30 minutes that they gave us to get everything out, you're like, get the perishables out. We're literally putting stuff in like bags and finding whatever we can take. We've got people with trucks helping us load out. You know, just the community came together. It was interesting.
We're focusing on networking for this show, and I know that we want to discuss how the community rallied around not just your two businesses, but all the ones on this strip.
Sure.
Were you surprised by all of the ones that came knocking or calling or texting?
Yeah, well, I knew that we had, like, in our neighborhood, Norfolk in general, just in general, you know, again, just these neighborhoods are very community and neighborhood focused, and so I knew that component was there, but to the degree that it happened when the collapse happened was unbelievable. The city officials got involved. The Downtown Norfolk Council, which is amazing, they were calling and like, we're looking for places for you to set up temporarily. Grow jumped in and they had a space available for us to pop up in, and we partnered with Cure and opened up at 433 Granby Street for a week. And so the community came out and supported even those events. I know My Yoga Spirit was at Push Comedy. So it was just to see all of that happening, people offering jobs for our employees, and it just felt so good. It's what a community is supposed to do and how it's supposed to work. So to see it work in a city like Norfolk was great. It was fantastic.
As far as what happens now, we're in the location you were in before June 8th, but it looks a little bit different. So how are things now? How are things going?
Well, I would say as far as customers and support, things are going well. As far as the structure itself, of course, many things have changed. You know, the conditions of the room is different. There's more sunlight, there's more humidity, you know, so we are struggling to try to keep our customers very pleased and happy and at a comfortable temperature. So, but that should all be resolved soon.
Yeah, I would say that, I don't know, like for Maggie, like for us, like because of certain elements that aren't together, our electric bill has nearly doubled.
Oh, I should have
just by
mentioned
being
that as
open
well.
for 3 weeks.
Yes.
Post.
Right.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
Right.
Yes.
That's the reality.
But that's the reality,
Yeah.
you know, so yes, we're still dealing with some of those things that are structural things that are affecting even still our bottom line.
Right.
So yeah, it's serious, but it's something that we can all push through. Yeah.
And it's an adjustment.
It's an
but
adjustment.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad that everyone is still
But we're
back
open.
in business. Right, and open.
Yes.
So come visit the shops at Botetourt in Norfolk.
Yes, we love your
We
support.
need your support.
Tisha Frazier,
Thank you.
Maggie Churas, thank you very much.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Okay, you're ready to start your business. One of the most important decisions you'll make is where to set up shop. I talked with Stephanie Sanker of Nussbaum Realty about the questions you need to be asking when finding a space for your business. All right, Stephanie, I'm a growing business and I'm looking for new office space. What should that business first look for?
I think the most important thing first is for a business to create a relationship with a broker. Having someone work on your behalf that's knowledgeable and has experience in the office market can not only help you decide what is the best location, but also can help negotiate lease terms on your behalf.
So a business can find a broker how?
Well, you can search through the internet or ask your friends, get referrals or recommendations. One thing that companies need to keep in mind is a lot of folks tend to believe that it will cost them money or it will increase their rate if they hire a broker. Typically, the landlord will pay the broker's fee. So a company can have the advantage of having someone work on their behalf without it costing them anything.
So I find a broker. How does the broker kind of help you find the space that you're looking for?
Well, I think it's important to sit down with the broker and have a conversation about what your goals are. Budget is certainly important. Keep in mind your base rent, your operating expenses, moving costs. What can you afford to move into? You also should discuss location. Where are your clients? You know, where your clients be coming to you? Will you be going to them? Where do your employees live? One thing that we've seen a lot lately is the importance of employee retention and attraction. So companies are looking at, newer, more modern, hipper spaces that they can attract the young talent. So location is important also.
A landlord is going to do their due diligence on a business. What
Yes.
could the business do to do their due diligence on the facility?
That's a great question because sometimes, you don't want to be locked in with a relationship with a landlord that's not a good landlord.
Right.
I would definitely ask your broker what their thoughts are on the landlord. I would ask existing tenants what their experience has been with a landlord. Start asking around. There's a lot of REITs, real estate investment trusts, that maybe your contact is in another state that you can't get an answer right away. Or it could be a local landlord where, your light bulb goes out or you need to have a
Right.
maintenance issue, they're right there handling it for you.
So should they expect that type of stuff? So a light goes out in the office and you guys replace that? Is that something they have to negotiate in terms, or how does that go through?
You negotiate who's responsible for what in your lease.
Okay, so what about the build out of something? So we're in a 21,000 square foot floor of this space. What would a business expect to get out of something like this from a build out standpoint?
Right, so this is what we call shell condition. This is a blank canvas. This
Right.
is where someone can come in and say, I want offices here, a conference room here. You don't have to go into second generation space and knock down walls. And you will negotiate, and your broker will help you negotiate with the landlord your tenant improvement allowance. So the landlord, based on the length of the term of the lease you sign, will offer you an amount of money to go towards the build out of this space.
So if I was to get a space in this building, would I expect to have to pay for electricity, Wi-Fi, parking, all those things the same as a different building, or is that kind of built into the whole system, or is it a case-by-case basis?
This building and most larger office towers in the area will offer you a full service rate. Full service includes everything.
Gotcha.
If a tenant may hear the term triple net, so basically they're paying a base rent and then they're responsible for all their operating expenses.
Okay.
But in a full service office lease, everything is included.
Is there one thing that comes up a lot when someone's looking to get into a new space?
A lot of times, recently we're hearing about the what ifs. If I need to expand, if it doesn't work out, what are my options? If I need to take less space, or if I need to close the business. So you need to be able to talk to your landlord and negotiate with your landlord. Do I have the ability to expand? Can I have first right of refusal on space next door? If you're afraid that perhaps you won't be there through the entire term, do I have the ability to sublease? Talking about scenarios, what's going to happen in the future.
It's time for our Entrepreneur of the Week. Here we highlight a local business owner to learn what advice they have for other entrepreneurs. Today we talk with the owner of O'Connor's Brewery, Kevin O'Connor.
It's something that I have a passion for and that I want to exude to the staff, because at the end of the day, I can't get everything done myself and I depend on them. And that's why the company culture is, let's sit back and have a beer at the end of the day and talk.
Kevin, we're here at O'Connor Brewing, a space that you guys moved into a little over a year ago.
Correct.
How did you come up with the idea to start your own brewery?
I always, like my dad said, I always had an expensive taste in alcohol. I was drinking craft beer at a very young age, but my first year at Radford, still drinking good beers. I ran into this store over in Blacksburg, vintage cellar, and I was going in there every week getting beers, and finally the guy said, why don't you come in here all the time, why don't you make your own beer?
Right.
And I told him, I said, I never knew you could do that. And that's how it started. I started home brewing, and that was 1995, and I was home brewing all the way up until I opened up.
Did you take any classes to do it, learn it online, self-taught?
Self-taught mainly, and then the School of Hard Knocks. I came home that summer and I worked for Steamship Brewing Company, which was right down here on 24th Street.
Yep.
I learned a lot on the production side there, and I worked for St. George Brewing Company over in Hampton.
Yep. So 5 years ago, you're a couple blocks down the street, getting your start there. How has it kind of progressed? So you got things going, you decide that growth is that next stage. How do you guys decide to do that?
Well, it was kind of forced upon us. We had the ability to sit back and run out of capacity. We started bottling over there.
Yep.
We couldn't store bottles. We couldn't store all the grain. So we needed to find a bigger space. We already had good circulation and good distribution. Other markets wanted us. We were at capacity, we needed to grow. So I just kind of sat back and said, okay, we're doing X amount in volume. Let's triple it. Let's build a facility to triple it so we're not overwhelmed. It's going to allow us to make new beers and have fun again.
The community aspect of growing a business is something that you are really trying to be a part of it.
Of course, that is our mantra.
And to bring people in here of all different walks. What is it like knowing that you're one of the pioneers to be able to do that?
Well, I look at Ale Works up in Williamsburg, my buddy Jeff Logan. Now, he wasn't the original brewer, and my friends over at St. George.
Sure.
They were really the pioneers. St. George is the second oldest brewery. Legend up in Richmond, the oldest brewery in Virginia. Star Hill. I've learned a lot from these guys. I look up to these guys. Being a pioneer, maybe in this little market, this little niche over here, I don't really think about it too much. I really don't sit back and say, man, this is something that I've done, but I have seen some of the people come behind me. I think Justin over at Reaver Beach Brewing, I still can't call it Reaver for some reason,
Right.
but he's doing a great job, and we're all doing well. Porter over at Smartmouth, we're all having fun. And the great thing about our business is that we can all sit down at the end of the day and have a beer together.
How important is that fun aspect in business?
I want people to come in and enjoy what they do here, be passionate about what they're doing. We're making beer at the end of the day. We're not over here, surgery, building, constructing the next new car, which will kind of be cool too. But it's something that I have a passion for and that I want to exude to the staff, because at the end of the day, I can't get everything done myself and I depend on them. And that's why the company culture is, let's sit back and have a beer at the end of the day and talk.
If someone is watching this and thinking about maybe starting a business, growing a business, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Don't give up. If failure comes your way, or failure should never ever be an option. But if you're always going to run through hurdles, you're always going to have these bumps in the road. If you truly are passionate about what you do, and there is, even if it's just a small little market, stick with it. I believe the money will always show up. I feel firmly about that. I had so many hiccups, late nights, still to this day, worry, but I'm not worrying about the things that I used to worry about.
Right.
I'm worried how we're going to expand even further, and do I have enough time in the day to do that kind of stuff? And
no matter the size of the business, you're always going to have something happen.
Exactly.
It's how you do it.
Just pick yourself up and keep moving. If you keep moving forward, it's all going to be behind you in a minute. It's never going to stay with you. So just shut it off, get back up on your feet, and keep moving forward.
Perfect. We're back with more Hampton Roads Business Weekly.
Let's go back to the shops on Botetourt. I talked with Chris Shelton, co-owner of Cure Coffee House, about the importance of having good insurance. What did you see when you got on Botetourt Street?
I saw a catastrophe. The building was still standing, so that was a plus. A lot of emergency vehicles, all the onlookers and employees and customers who were in here at the time were standing on the corner just in absolute awe. And so that's kind of the scene that I came upon.
As a business owner, it had to have been pretty scary. Once you realized that everyone was physically okay, then you wonder, well, what happens now?
What next? Yeah. So on my way over, after I'd heard the news, I called my father because he had been a business owner for 25 years and never had anything quite like this happen. So the advice was slim, and I kind of had to just figure out where to go, one step at a time. There really is no rule book for what happens when this occurs. It's not something you think about very often, a building collapse. But just generally, it is a good idea to have some sort of plans in place for what happens if the unthinkable occurs and you have to evacuate the business and can't return for a number of weeks or months.
Let's talk about preparation. And
Okay.
I know it's hard to prepare for something like this, but insurance is one thing. And I think in a situation like this, you can find yourself underinsured or not with the proper insurance.
That's right.
What have you learned about insurance through all
Well,
this?
I learned that we were terribly lucky to have had a policy that covered most of everything that we needed coverage for. I think that was a stroke of luck. Looking back on it now, hindsight being 20/20 as it is, I probably would have worked my network to find a insurance agent that truly understands our type of business, our needs, and is not out just for a buck, but actually out to truly, help business owners and have them have exactly what kind of coverage that they actually need. I don't think that we had that. So I would suggest any business owner at any point in time, understand the coverage that you have, that you're not paying too much in premium, that you're not underinsured, certainly. And another thing with the insurance is to keep really good records. I'm lucky to generally do that because it made the insurance process a whole heck of a lot easier.
Records being
records
things that
being
you bought.
invoices, the ability to know what you have on hand, and how would you go about taking a full inventory if you had to very quickly, because the quicker you can get the insurance company the information they need, the quicker you can have a check in your pocket.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So if you maybe even get video of the
Yeah,
processes
video absolutely
and the
helps.
things that you have here.
If you need to prove that you have what you're telling the insurance company you have, absolutely video, taking photos of what's in your shop, especially larger equipment and things like that. But certainly, keeping your invoices handy.
You mentioned that you are back in business and customers are coming back, but I know that the community really has pulled together
Absolutely.
for this strip of shops. What was that like?
It was very nice.
That's an understatement, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm trying not to get too emotional about it. It chokes you up to know that in a time of need that people are there, and they'll drop anything to help you out. And that you have, we had customers who were helping us doing a fire brigade to get all of our inventory out in the 30 minutes the fire department gave us to do that. Customers who were just,
Right.
they were as devastated because this is their place to hang out, and and relax and meet people and stuff like that. So just to have a community that stands up when something like that happens.
We pull together.
Yeah, we pull together.
We pull together. Chris Shelton, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Cheryl.
Naoma Doraguzzi, our social marketing expert, is here with tips on how to save time with your social media.
Hi, this is Naoma Doraguzzi with AskNaoma.com, and as busy professionals, we have a lot going on with phone calls, emails, social media, and sometimes when you're starting out, social media can kind of be overwhelming and not be as fun as you might think it'd be. So there's a few things strategy you can do to help time save when you're out trying to get started on social media. First thing I like to mention is called Buffer. It's an extension on your web browser, but you can also use it online, and again, it has an app. So what you can do is if you see great content out there, you can schedule it to post. So you're not posting all at the same time. It's another great tool is it has analytics, so you can see how effective it's going to be. Another thing is a Social Bro. It's going to give you another great tool for Twitter analytics. So if you want to see when your followers are following, when they're tweeting and retweeting your content, it's a good way to kind of analyze and see what you're doing, so you know if you need to do something different or to kind of analyze your strategy on social media. Another great tool is make sure you don't forget to ask questions to your followers so that they are engaging with you at all times. Again, use Buffer and Social Bro for helping with your Twitter and your social media analytics.
That's all for this week's Hampton Roads Business Weekly. You can find the show on Facebook and Twitter at HR Business Weekly or at hrbusinessweekly.com.
For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zack Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.